Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell, and welcome to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. My co-host here is Ben Dickerson, and our claim to fame is that we basically have approximately a 60 to 65% win ratio in terms of picking games based on these rankings, and that's pretty much it. Just based on these rankings. Um, we understand that they basically represent, what that team has done, but we figure the best representation. And just quickly, Benny, I know you've heard the story as to, where the idea came from. This is not something that I make up. These are just ongoing statistics that I decided to focus on.
Hmm.
And the reason I decided to focus on it is because, we watch a lot of sports media, right? Different sports shows.
Sure.
And generally, all of them have a female monitor or host who runs the show, kind of, you know what I mean? Um, and so that's just seems to be ubiquitous across the different shows, from Good Morning Football to Get Up doesn't, they don't really have that, but they have Kimberly, she's there.
Yeah,
But
but
the
she's an
thing,
analyst. She's
she's an analyst, she's not a host, right? But the thing that I noticed was that I would be listening to these reports, and a lot of times the people that are doing the talking are ex-athletes, coaches, and all of that kind of stuff, and they would be providing all of this information. And then it would cut back to her as she closed down the segment, and she says, "Yeah, well, the point differential between," and I kept going, "Huh?"
after all the conjecture and all the opinion, she closes out the segment with exactly.
And so it just caught my eye. And I just began to follow it and sort of develop around those two statistics. Um, and it's an interesting ride because it has exposed the parity in the league. So there's actually some bigger things that can be drawn from these statistics. The statistics that we're talking about is average net point or win margin, which is the primary statistic there. And that's, how bad are you beating these teams? I think you'll see some interesting numbers coming up. And then we take those numbers when we have a game, the matchup, and we simply compare their net point averages. And we've thrown in turnover differential as an add-on. So when we talk about the bias, which is the differential between the net points, you'll also hear us say the bias plus, and the plus is the turnover differential that it gets calculated in when we do the final numbers. So that's basically it. 60 plus percent, pretty much on the money, just tracking really two statistics, primarily one statistic, thanks to the ladies and their special information that they were able to get. They have those you and I. They have like entire backgrounds of information and people doing their research, pulling up stuff and all over the computer.
And
Just
saying stuff right into their ear.
much less, you know what I mean? So, but that's fine. That's fine. That, we did this for fun. We're still doing this for fun, but that's where that came from. So let's start to take a look here at what the heck we're talking about. Now, this is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings through week 17. So we can only talk about what's been completed. This is not a forecast. ANP stands for average net points. The L3 stands for the last 3 weeks. I began tracking the last 3 weeks in order to account for late momentum and some changes. So I think that the numbers are pretty stark when you really look at them. On the left-hand side, we have the season through week 17. So that's a 17 game average. But on the right, we have a 3 game average. So just wanted to kind of clarify there. So let's go top. first of all, we always, have to pay homage to the number one team. I mean, Seattle with an average net points, and these can go positive and negative, of plus 11.3 is the best in the NFL right now. That means that they're winning their games by an average of 11.3 points. That's a nice, comfortable win margin. Now, right below them, 2 through 5, you've got the Rams, New England, Jacksonville, and Houston. Interesting group of teams there. And one, two, let me see. I see two NFCs and three AFCs there. And we go from New England at 8.9, Jacksonville 6.5, and then Houston 6.3. So that means that about a touchdown, winning by about a touchdown. When you flip over to the right-hand side, though, Benny, over the last 3 weeks, Jacksonville, who was in fourth place for the season, has taken over completely at plus 16 as a win margin over the last 3 weeks. Strong win margin. Now, the funny thing is, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are not known for big scoring games and big, scenarios, win their games by an average of plus 14.3 points. It might be 16-2 that they're winning by, but it's still 14-point margin, which is strong. You know what I mean? If you can win all the games by 2 touchdowns, you're doing pretty good. The next two, over the last 3 weeks or so, my beloved San Francisco 49ers at 12.7, and then Baltimore Ravens. Benny, I can't wait till the Ben and Barry on football show where you get to talk about Derrick Henry, his use during that game. I can't wait. I'm just looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you'll have to check out Ben and Barry on football. That's where we do the matchups. Right now, we're just looking at rankings. So we don't get into back and forth as much, but straight numbers here. Let's just finish out the top half for net points as you get past Houston. Then you're looking at Buffalo, my Niners, Denver, Detroit. Now, this is an interesting group of mid-level teams who are still alive and have some playoff level aspirations. And that's winning at plus 4. So it's winning by an average of only 4 points. That's kind of tenuous. Below that, you've got Indianapolis. And then for the season, Philadelphia. Close games through the season. Obviously, I don't know if they're heating up or they just found the perfect foil in their last game. But in any event, Philadelphia. Then you got the Chargers, Green Bay. Green Bay still has hope. Chargers still have hope. Kansas City out. Chicago and Baltimore still have hope for the season, tied at plus 1.8 points per game. On the other side, however, when you look at Chicago in seventh place, they're plus 10 over the last 3 weeks. New England also plus 10. The Saints, Benny, I kept telling you about that guy named Tyler Shook, man. Weird name, but he seemed like he just kept getting better and better. New Orleans coming in at plus 11.3 over the last 3 weeks. Baltimore, you'll talk about that. My Niners, we talked about that going up to Philly. Houston, defense, Minnesota plus 8. Cincinnati out, Seattle at. Now, this is interesting. Seattle is number 1 for the season, but for the last 3 weeks, they're coming in at 11th at plus 6.7 points. Average net points win margin. So that's a little, I don't know. We'll have to see whether there's something to be drawn from that. There's your Chargers right there at 12th on both the season and on the last 3 weeks, straight across. They're 12th. For the season, plus 2.8. For the last 3 weeks, plus 5.3. Your New York Football Giants, Benny, coming in at 13th in average net points at plus 4.3. There you go. Ahead of Pittsburgh and Atlanta. What the heck happened in that last game? I know you'll tell us, but wow. And then Buffalo at +2 for the last 3 weeks. Buffalo, where were they at? +5.6. So, +2 for the last 3 weeks. Again, somewhat worrisome when you look at it from that perspective. I'm going to stop for a minute and give you a chance to gather your thoughts and talk about the average net points for the top half of the NFL.
Okay, so looking over at the left-hand column, which is the column for the entire season for the entire 17 weeks, I noticed when you started out and you mentioned Seattle, you said plus 11.3 was a pretty comfortable win margin. I would say if we went back some weeks, and I could be wrong because you keep these numbers, I don't, but just going off my memory, I would say if we go back a few weeks, maybe back a month, those top three teams, whoever they happened to be at the time, were probably had probably better win margins than that 11.3. I would say that 11.3 right now is right on the edge of comfortability. And the 9.7 and the 8.9 that the Rams and the Patriots are enjoying right now is just a little tiny bit outside of the realm of comfortability. But that's because it's the end of the season and it's playoff time. And just like we always say, run game and defense means everything when it comes to one game eliminations and the tournament, as some people call the playoffs. So things are beginning to tighten up. Not saying that, those win margins are so close that anything can happen, although we know anything can happen. I'd still
Yeah.
say teams were enjoying better win margins during the course of the season than they are now because everybody's digging in and going for playoff spots, which are almost all gone now at this point, and trying to be spoilers and things like that. So that's all I got to say about that.
Can I say, though, Benny, the longer you take an average out, I think the numbers begin to
Starts to thin out a little bit.
yeah. So
Yeah,
just, even if you look at, I know when I study the investments, the S&P 500, we might over the last 10 years be enjoying a plus 15%. But you go out 2025, it's going to moderate back to 8.
sure.
So there you go. What else you got on that?
That's it. I mean, when you look at the side over the last 3 weeks, I mean, everybody kind of knows who the hot teams are. The difference is when you start to look at them and ask yourself, why are they hot? What is it that's pushing them up above the other teams and pushing them up above where they were for the entire season? One team could be offense, one could be defense, one team could be they're just playing better overall or in all three phases. We've had some kickoff returns, we've had some punt returns, so special teams are picking up. Everything's getting better and better, man. Coming into this playoffs, this is going to be a real nice playoffs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, before we get too excited, let's look at the bottom half of the average
Oh,
points.
jeez. Oh, dang.
Because there's a couple teams that are down there that you might think, okay, well, wait a minute. These are playoff contenders.
I don't know about that. Let's see.
Well, what about Pittsburgh for the season?
Contender,
Okay, all right. Tampa Bay?
contender.
Okay,
We're
okay.
talking about they're now on the bubble. These teams are bubble teams.
Okay, but still contenders nonetheless.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And they're in the
You're not
bottom
out of
half, and
contention until
they're
you're
in the
eliminated.
negative net point margins. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're losing by an average of 3 points per game, that'll come out as a -3 in the net point. So the
There you
numbers are
go.
what they are. That we're just showing you. And I've always loved the symmetry of it. But in any event, over the season, down to Vegas in 32nd place at -12.1. Now you want to have some exaggerated numbers, Benny. Go over to the last 3 weeks, where your last place is the New York Jets at -27.7. So, all those numbers are stronger than last place or bigger than last place in terms of the size of the losses. Up to like number what? It's 12. So at least to 29, up to ranking 29. On the right-hand side, you got your Rams at +1 to contend or playoff qualifier. Denver, 0.3 playoff qualifier. Tampa Bay, -2.3, a bubble butt qualifier. Is Detroit still in it?
Nope, they're done.
All right, they're done. They're done. Green Bay,
Yeah, they're in.
-10.3 over the last 3 weeks, but a
But
guy named
somehow or
Derrick
another,
Henry
they
had
are
something to
locked
do with
in.
that. I'm sorry?
I said, somehow or another, they are locked in.
They are locked in. So that's about it for the contenders on the lower half of the net points. Any further thing you want? We'll move on to scoring.
No, I mean, if there was a Rams fan or a Denver fan on here, the first thing they would say is, a win is a win. We don't care how we get it done. And I hate that term, a win is a win during the season. But now, I mean, let's face it, these last 2 weeks of the regular season are darn near playoff games for a lot of teams. So in the playoffs, yes, a win is a win because it's win in advance. It's not win and hope the other team doesn't figure out what you did wrong and beat you the next week. That can still happen, but you can't advance if you don't win. In the season, you can get a losing streak and come back strong. In the playoffs, there is no comeback.
Okay. All right. So the win means more. The value goes up, no doubt about it. All right, let's look at the scoring part of it, Benny. Who's putting up the points? In first place for the season, the LA Rams at 30.1 points per game. I'm just amazed to look over to the right and see my beloved San Francisco 49ers in first place at 42.3 points per game. And it's gonna be funny when we talk about this stuff because yeah, I'm still very tenuous on Purdy. I just
You're a terrible fan. You're the worst fan in the world besides Mark Russell.
no, 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 no. Let,
Yes,
let,
yes,
let, let
yes,
me
yes,
ask, let me
yes.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
You remember that one play where he threw the ball and the guy batted it
Yes,
and his own man caught it?
yes,
Remember that?
yeah.
That could have been a completely different play. That could have changed the tenure of that game completely.
Is that the game he threw 5 touchdown passes?
Yeah.
Forget
But
about it.
but it's also the game we gave up 5 touchdown passes. So it's
Quarterbacks get balls batted every week.
maybe so, but uh, some of the choices that he made, I was a little shaky about. Now,
A batted
again,
pass is not a bad choice by the quarterback.
huh?
Batted passes don't happen because the
No, I'm
quarterback makes a
going on
bad
to
choice.
other passes I'm thinking about now beyond that.
Oh,
But yeah,
jeez.
I'm just saying, he turns around and he throws the ball, Guy Bassett. Who was it the guy from Houston who like batted it, grabbed it, and took it like 60 yards? Something like that. So, you got to avoid those things. In any event, congratulations.
You're killing me,
Uh,
man.
the
You're
top five in scoring: Seattle, Detroit, Dallas, New England, all in that 28 to 30 point range, which is a number that, I think is where you have to be able to score to win. Buffalo coming just underneath 27.9. Indianapolis, my Niners for the season, 27.1. Jacksonville tied 27.1. And then Chicago rounding out the top 10 at 26.6 points per game. My intriguing team, and they're still intriguing. So here we got Baltimore all of a sudden putting up 25 points per game. More than Cincinnati, more than Green Bay at 24.3, Denver 23.9, Pittsburgh 23.2. So the Pittsburgh Steelers 23.2. That's the Aaron Rodgers offense. And then Houston 22.9. Probably the biggest question about their ability to win the championship. Until you get over to the other side here, Jacksonville 35 points a game, Rams 34. New England, 33. 29.7. Chicago over the last 3 weeks putting up 30 points per game. Thanks to my 49ers helping them out there. Baltimore, 29.7. All hail King Henry. Seattle tied three-way with Houston and New Orleans, 27.7. And then Cincinnati, Atlanta, they're out. Tennessee, Denver. Denver's still in at 24.7. Philly's in at 24.3. Did we say Minnesota was in?
They're out.
Out. Okay, so Philly tied with Minnesota, who's out at 24.3 points per game. That's your top half of your scoring, Benny. What do you got?
All I got here is probably the same thing I'm going to have to say when we get to the points against category, and that is over the last 3 weeks, there's been some little tricky matchups there where some teams pulled a couple of teams that are out of it and weren't playing well to begin with, and they got piled on. And some teams ran up against some really tough matchups. If they were lucky, they've already clinched their playoff spot. So they got into a real battle that didn't mean that much to them, as opposed to getting into a real battle that means a whole bunch to them if, in fact, they hadn't clinched the playoff spot. So that's where they found themselves. How many points you score has a lot to do with who you play, same as how many points you get scored on. So at this time of year, it might look worse than it actually is, and it might look better than it actually is. Or it might be a true reflection, as I believe it is for your beloved San Francisco 49ers. Them boys are balling right now. If I was a Niners fan, I would be like, you better not say my team's name. They are balling.
Ben, I love my Niners.
I
Okay.
know you do, but
And I just have to call it
you're a
like
little
I said.
skittish. You're a
We
little
have
skittish, bro.
we have the last place team in defensive pressure. Okay.
Right.
The
Right.
last place team. So,
Yes, you
so
do.
Purdy is actually has to score like this in order
Yes, he
to keep
does.
up. And even last couple of shows when I mentioned about Sam Darnold, and I
Yes.
wonder, whether, I think it's ironic that the big game is my Niners against a Sam Darnold led team, a good team too. As a matter of fact, scoring their second, 29.4 points per game for the season. Now they settled down a little bit, 27.7 over the last 3 weeks for seventh place, but still in all, very representative, tied with Houston, New Orleans. Okay. And then as you look down, you see Denver, Dallas, Philly at 24.3, tied with Dallas and Minnesota. So those are the top half of your scoring there, right there. Ready to move on to the bottom half?
If I must.
Yeah, just a moment, just to take a look at who's where. And again, especially if the who is a playoff qualified or contending team, like the Chargers, Tampa Bay, and Philadelphia, all at about 22 points, just under 23 points per game. Taking a look further down, that's pretty much it.
Pittsburgh, Carolina.
Are you on the
I'm looking
right
at the last
side?
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Over
you
the
know,
last three
I hadn't
weeks.
got there yet. Okay, I'm coming
Oh,
on
my
the right
bad. Go ahead.
side now.
Well,
Okay.
Carolina's down there too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so like you said, Carolina, when I move up, I see Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay Chargers. So the bottom half of the scoring, 23 points down to about 20, somewhere in that area. Can you score in that area and still be a Super Bowl either contender or winner? That's going to be the question. And you probably can if your defense is holding people to less than that, which is the bottom line for the net points. In this case, average points against APA for the season in first place, Houston Texans. And for the last 3 weeks in first place, the Philadelphia Eagles. And the thing that these two teams have in common defensively, Ben, would you say is what?
Strong pass rush.
Man, oh man, the Shevitz. I tell you what a difference that makes. So in any event, for the season side, you got Seattle only giving up 18 points a game, and Philly right behind them at 18.8. Denver, 19.3. New England, the nice thing about the New England, you can say what you want about them, but they play defense too. It ain't like Drake May is, firing it up and defense ain't doing it. Um, Kansas City is up there. Chargers, 20.1. Jacksonville. Rams, 20.4. Jacksonville, 20.6. So Green Bay, 21. Buffalo, 22. My Niners, 22.4. And Pittsburgh, 22.7. So those are your playoff contenders on the left, on your right. In first place again, Philadelphia Eagles at plus, excuse me, not plus, at 10 points per game is what they're holding other teams to on average over the last 3 weeks. Going down, I see 16 for Minnesota and New Orleans and the Chargers. I see 17 for Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And Benny, look at that last 3 weeks. Defense, matchup, 17.3 points allowed for both Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And
Big
that,
build up for that game.
oh man, I'm telling you. Houston and Jacksonville giving up 19 a game on average. Chicago 20.3 on average. Over the last 3 weeks in Seattle, 21. So there you go for your defensive scoring. What do you got?
Again, last 3 weeks. Now I said I would probably say the same thing about points against as I said for points for, except for the fact that we know how important defense is at this time of year. So actually, I put more credence into what teams are doing over the last 3 weeks in this category than I do in the amount of points that they're scoring. Philadelphia's defense has been playing so strong that their offense could basically just stay in the locker room and they could win.
Pretty much.
Minnesota's defense, which was supposed to be dangerous from the beginning of the season. Remember, I was talking about Brian Flores and the way he likes to blitz and throw all kinds of different schemes at you and all. They've had some clunkers, but they are still who they are. And when they got a couple people back from being injured, they're playing extremely well, even though they're out of it. New Orleans defense come out of nowhere. I have no clue. I have no clue. The Chargers are kind of puttering along, but at the beginning of the season, they did kind of hang their hat on defense and their run game, even
Yeah.
though their run game has sputtered a little bit.
The
But
hardball
the
thing.
defense, yeah, right, exactly. That's his calling card. But defensively, they've been pretty steady. Pittsburgh's supposed to be steady. They had a little come up here in the last 3 weeks, but I don't know. I don't want to start getting into speculation yet because we're not at that part of the show. But anyway, that's how I see it. Teams are really making a push now, man. It's the end of the season. It's playoff time. Teams are going to make a push, and their defenses are going to be extremely important to them to make this push.
Well, Chicago has the same issue that my Niners have, and their defense isn't playing up to the level of their offense. But it ain't a bad defense. And like the guy said last week, they're somewhat turnover dependent. So
Yes,
consistent,
yes, which isn't a terrible thing if in fact you do get turnovers.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, you gotta do something. You can't just lay down and die, you know?
So then you finish out the bottom half, top half with Seattle and Buffalo and Panthers. Panthers are out, right?
No,
Oh,
no.
Panthers are in.
Panthers are in, and yeah. Well, let me put it this way: the Panthers are still in the hunt. That the NFC South is very, very tricky. I'm going to get into that in a little bit.
I'm gonna say it like Elmer Fudd. Very tricky.
Very, very interesting.
Okay, let's look at the bottom half of the scoring. Who's giving up all of those points? Bam! I just like to go to the bottom for the season and just say the Dallas Cowboys in last place defensively, giving up 29.8 points per game. Over the last 3 weeks, the Jets, 39.7 points per game. Wowie, wow, wow. Okay, on the bottom half of the uh, defense, average points against who are still in it, we're looking at Chicago, Tampa Bay. On the season side, that looks like it. Baltimore is at the top there. On the right-hand side, New England giving up 23 points per game. Tampa Bay 24. My Niners 29.7. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That ain't good. Tied with the Indianapolis Colts of all people. Miami 30. Dallas 30.3. Actually better. They moved up over the last 3 weeks. Green Bay 32.3 points per game. The Rams 33 points per game. So much of that thanks to the Falcons team who just screwed everybody's head over when they the way they play. In any event, that's the bottom half of the defenses. Benny, any comments?
Yeah. If any of these contending teams is going to have a downfall, this is where you're going to find it. At this time of the season, and you're in the playoff hunt, or you're in the playoffs, excuse me, meaning you're contending for a division title and or to push on, get a higher seed, or possibly go all the way. If you're in the bottom of this category and you're going to have a downfall, this is where you're going to find it.
Well,
Now,
you didn't
now
make me
there.
feel any better for my Niners. That's for
Yeah,
that,
I know.
Skippy.
I know. Well, I mean, that's where you seem to want to be. You want to be all ho hum and humdrum.
I
So I
don't
thought
want
I.
to. It just
Oh,
is what it is. I can't help when that number fell down to 24th over the
we're
last three
different.
weeks.
We're different. We're different kind of fans. Let me ask you a question before we move on. One question. This shows different kind of fans we are.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
If in fact your team is contending for a division title, you're right there. You got one game left and you can win it, and you're coming off you're coming on off a win streak, and you're coming off a game where you just devastated the other team, and you know your defense is having problems. What would you wish for your team? You can't wish for all the guys that are hurt to come back. You would hope for it, but you can't wish for that. What would you wish for your team?
I'm stupid. I have no
You
clue
would
what the
wish
hell
for
you.
your offense to be freaking going bananas like they are.
Oh, listen to you.
What else can
You,
you hope for? How are you
you and
going
your
to
loaded
win?
question. Hey, it's the only saving grace. It's the saving grace we had. That's
Right.
what
So as a fan, I'm
Purdy's got
holding
to
on to
score
that.
like 40 points a game, and
Okay.
he's
You want to
doing
be,
it.
bro, if you want to be
Okay,
woe is me, if
but
you want to be woe is me,
he
it's
gets a few
okay.
good bounces here and there,
If
and in these tight games,
it's
a
football,
couple bounces here and there can make the difference.
it's football. You keep waiting for the sky to fall.
I'm not waiting for the sky to fall.
Sure you are. And a little tip here, there'll be anything
No,
can
no,
happen.
I'm looking
Come
at the
on, man.
games. It's the eye test. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, you
Everybody can
know?
see that, but
So
it's like
again,
you're rooting for it instead of against
I'm
it.
not rooting for it. No, if it's not like you can say it's like because you're a Giants fan. Maybe you don't understand.
No, I do understand. Don't go
Okay.
there.
But
Don't
long
go
story
there.
short, okay, um, he Purdy right now in this last game, they're actually using words like Mahomes-esque, which he actually was. That was the funny part. He actually did do a Mahomes-like move over on the left-hand side, sidestepping two, three people, looking like he was going to run and just stop and dropped it off to check, I do believe, in the end zone all by itself. And I thought to myself when he did it, I was like, man, that looked a little like Mahomes, you know? So in any event, Yeah, that's just kind of how it is. That's just kind of how it is. All right, so Benny,
Yep.
the average points against, you say, and this was pretty profound. If there's a downfall to be found, this is where you're going to find it.
Right.
All right. Well, what about this next set of statistics, Benny? The average turnover differential. And we can clap our hands for the number one team in both the season and over the last 3 weeks, which was an improvement for over the season over the last 3 weeks. And that is the intriguing team to me, the Chicago Bears, at plus 1.4 for the season, plus 1.7 over the last 3 weeks, including a pick six against my beloved 49ers. But that's pretty awesome, don't you think?
Absolutely. Especially considering that they've been doing it consistently over the course of the season and have done it even a tiny bit better over the last 3 weeks with a defense that is not nearly as talented as several others.
I'm telling you. Now we talk about Houston, and now we have to talk about Jacksonville. Jacksonville is just pushing their way into the conversation.
Consistency.
You know, Pittsburgh coming in and fourth at plus 0.7. And again, average turnover differential can go plus or minus. So from a one, we go below one with Houston, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, the Ram, and Philly tied 1, 2, 3, 4, five-way tie at 0.3 with Tampa Bay, the Chargers, Atlanta, and Detroit. Then we have a three-way tie, Indianapolis, New England, and Buffalo at 0.1, and breaking even, an average turnover differential, Green Bay, Arizona, and Carolina for the season with one game left to be averaged in next week. But for the last 3 weeks, beyond Chicago, Benny, you've got a good 5 teams that are 1+. Jacksonville, your Giants, Minnesota, the Chargers, and Baltimore in the positive turnover differential at 1+. Just under one with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-way tie is that. Houston, Pittsburgh, Philly, Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and New Orleans at 0.7 on the plus side. Tennessee coming in at 0.3 and breaking even, New England and Carolina. Average turnover differential, takeaways minus giveaways. What do you got?
Well, like we always say, if you take it away, turnovers turn into points one way or another. You may get a turnover and then you may stall, have to punt, get stopped on downs. That does happen. But a whole lot of times, turnovers turn into points one way or the other. If you give the ball away, give the other team an extra possession that they didn't, well, I was getting ready to say they didn't earn, but if they took it away, they did earn it. They could get points off of that, field goal, touchdown. Same thing as if your defense takes it away from the other team. They give your team another possession, hopefully with good field position that allows you to get points up on the board. So takeaways and giveaways are extremely important. Turnovers cannot be, let's face it, everybody knows Chicago's defense. I don't want to say they're not good. Obviously they are. But when it comes to like getting scored on, points against column, they're nowhere near as good as some of these other teams. But they turn the ball over on the plus side so many times that it keeps them alive and makes them relevant. So turnover is extremely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I was looking for a stat. I don't see it, but it had to do with Caleb Williams. And he has an almost historic record of not turning the ball over, not throwing interceptions. I believe it almost goes back to college, um, especially with the Superman stunts, ways that he played, things of that nature. That's the top half. We will round the show out, Benny, with the bottom half and the average turnover differential. And again, the teams who are still in contention, Chargers, Buffalo, Carolina, Denver, all in the minus on turnover differential. Just small numbers though, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 type thing. My Niners, 0.5. And Seattle, 0.6. Maybe we can help them out with that. Over on the right-hand side, my Niners are breaking even at 0. Then you have Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Denver, all at minus 0.3 to 0.7 in that area. Going down, Jacksonville, minus 1.3. Are they having, have you noticed a turnover scenario with Jacksonville? That looks like one of the few weak links in their recent performance.
Their offense is really humming. They've been kind of throwing the ball a lot, so it's possible that I think what's his name got picked off a couple times in the last couple games.
I
But
know
it didn't matter because they were scoring like a slot machine.
Well, the same thing or thought comes up with Seattle at minus 1.3. They had a little bit of a turnover.
Yeah, they had that one game where he had 5 in the game.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if that was the last 3 weeks, but I get a feeling it was.
And then Buffalo at minus 1.7. Probably the
Yeah, their
Minnesota's
defense has been
out, right?
shaky. Yeah,
Minnesota's out, right?
I'm sorry, who?
Minnesota.
Yeah, they're done.
Okay, so they're the lowest turnover differential of they have the lowest turnover differential of all of the playoff contenders, Buffalo at minus 1.7. So yeah, that last game that Josh Allen played, it was a head scratcher for me. He kept doing things, and I'm like, dude, are you just coming out of the practice squad or something? What the heck are you doing? So in any event, to round off this particular segment of the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, Benny, here you go.
Yeah. I have a unique set of skills.
I
Love
don't
that
know where
movie.
you are, but Happy New Year to you.
I love that movie.
Benny, that's like 12 movies now.
Yeah, it's been a couple of them. Yeah. Taken again.
Taken again.
Given, taken.
Taken two.
Right. Taken from, taken over.
Taken over.
It never ends.
And I know where you are taken. So, all right, Benny, that's it for me. Happy New Year. Have a great 2026,
Happy New Year,
everybody.
everybody.
We will be talking to you again this time next week. Take care.